At the height of his reign, Devraj Indra received a gift from the sage Durvasa, a divine garland representing total cosmic favor. But Indra's ego had made him careless. He draped the offering over his elephant, only for the animal to toss the flowers into the dirt and trample them, a public and absolute insult to the sage's gift. Durvasa's response was immediate. He cursed Indra, declaring that his divine power, his accumulated wealth, and his prosperity would vanish entirely. Stripped of their strength, the Devas were easily overthrown by King Bali and the Asura army. The myth establishes a clear cause and effect. The moment Indra believed he was above the laws of respect, he lost the power to rule. Vulnerable and defeated, the Devas sought a recovery strategy from Lord Vishnu. Vishnu pointed them toward the Amrit, a nectar of immortality hidden in the deepest reaches of the ocean of milk. Drinking it was the only way to restore their lost divinity. But the Devas were too weak to extract it alone. Vishnu's solution was a radical tactical pivot. They had to form a temporary, functioning alliance with the Asuras, the very enemies who had just conquered them. The deal was built on a single shared incentive. To secure the Asuras' raw physical labor, the Devas promised to share the Amrit equally once it was surfaced. The lesson is one of survival over pride. When facing an existential threat, the most effective strategy is often to cooperate with a bitter adversary, rather than attempting to fight them with insufficient resources. The churning required a massive vertical axis, Mount Mandarachal, and the serpent Vasuki as the rope. But the unsupported mountain sank, stalling the operation. Vishnu intervened as Korma, a giant turtle, providing an indestructible base beneath the mountain to stabilize the rotation. But the first thing the churning produced wasn't the nectar. It was Calcute, a poison so lethal its mere presence threatened to dissolve every living thing. To protect creation, Lord Shiva stepped forward and drank the poison. However, instead of swallowing it, he held the substance in his throat. Mythological logic explains this choice. The entire universe resides within Shiva. Swallowing the poison would have destroyed everything from the inside. By stopping it at his neck, he saved the world, earning the name Nilkanth. This sequence serves as a warning. Unearthing massive rewards will first surface the most toxic elements. Success requires a leader capable of absorbing that toxicity without letting it reach their core. Once the poison was removed, the ocean finally began to release its treasures. 14 Ratnas emerged, including the divine Airavat elephant and the Kamdanu cow. Then goddess Lakshmi appeared from the waves. Representing ultimate beauty and prosperity, she was sought by everyone. Her selection process was a lesson in character. She rejected the most powerful and the most learned beings, finding them flawed by hidden anger, excessive lust, or unchecked ego. She chose Lord Vishnu as her eternal partner because he remained completely unattached to the chaos, possessing absolute control over his impulses. This illustrates a specific law of prosperity. Wealth and luck naturally align with those who have mastered their own emotions, rather than those who simply possess the most raw power. The churning finally reached its climax when Lord Dhanvantari emerged with the ultimate prize, the golden pot of Amrit. The Asuras immediately abandoned their promises. They seized the pot by force, intending to keep the immortality for themselves and leave the Devas to their defeat. In response, Vishnu transformed into Mohini, a woman of such mesmerizing beauty that the Asuras were instantly distracted. Mohini used their own impulses against them. While they were blinded by infatuation, she convinced them to let her distribute the nectar, ensuring it went to the Devas instead. When the Asura Rahu tried to steal a sip in disguise, he was exposed. Vishnu used a spinning disk of energy to decapitate him, creating the immortal head and body that would go on to cause eclipses. While the Asuras had physical possession of the nectar, they lost it because they couldn't control their own desires. Strategic manipulation often determines the winner in a way that raw strength cannot. The Samudra Manthan functions as a description of the human psychological landscape. In this framework, the ocean represents the human mind, and the grueling churning process is the friction of deep introspection. The Halahel poison represents the toxic thoughts and old traumas that inevitably surface when we try to improve ourselves. You have to face and process this negativity before any real progress is possible. The 14 treasures that appear represent material successes and ego-driven desires. They are rewards, but they also serve as tests to see if we will lose our focus on the ultimate goal. Real peace and lasting success can only be reached by confronting your own internal toxicity, moving past superficial distractions, and maintaining personal discipline through the hardest phases of life.